Hello everybody and welcome to another episode of the MCSG. Today I'll be taking a close look at all the new features in MCSGV2, which is why I haven't actually posted any videos of the MCSGV2 yet, as I was waiting for bugs to be fixed, etc. before I took a look at it. Now, the first major change is a new lobby with new parkour, lots of hidden secrets, and an absolute ton of lag. While recording, I am getting 25 FPS, which is the lowest FPS I have ever gotten. And while not recording, I'm limited to around 90, while on the old lobby, I was getting around 200. So definitely a much laggier lobby, though it is nice for a change. Now you might notice a bit of a change of the chat system, and it has been revitalized a bit with new colors and all sorts of cool new stuff, but not really a major change. Next comes the voting system. So as you can see, it's changed around a bit, and 25 out of 24 players are in the server due to a glitch that allows multiple people to be in. But anyways, you can either skip, which I think I'll do as Breeze Island is obviously winning, but if you skip, you can't actually vote for another map, which I'm not a big fan of, but you do have a solution to the overplayedness of Breeze Island and SG4, which is that the last two maps played in that server can't be played again. Also, the lobby time is only 2 minutes long, and then the pre-game time is only 30 seconds. And I really don't know why I'm getting such low FPS. Like, this is really insane. I may have to scrap this recording and come back later on, because I don't think anybody wants to watch gameplay at 25 FPS or... yeah. So, I'll be back for another match later on. And I'm back for another attempt at giving my views on MCSGV2. Luckily, I'm getting a more normal FPS this time, locked at 60, as opposed to getting 15 through 20. So yeah, 30-second pre-game time, which definitely makes it quite a bit more stressful, though does get games going a bit faster. Okay, now, Corn really hasn't been changed too much, besides the major change that it only refills once every 13 minutes as opposed to once every 10 minutes, which personally I am not a big fan of. It causes games to go on for much longer than they normally do, or than they normally did, rather, because deathmatch is really the time when everybody is attracted to one place, and yeah. Sorry, not deathmatch, corn refill. So, I'm not a big fan of it being moved later. I'm pretty sure that was as a result of attempting to make it more fair for people who didn't get corn refill. I'm not sure. Now, you may notice that this was a tier 2 chest, which it was not previously. And this is because the staff of MCSG have not randomized chests or even set up randomized tiers like they were hinting at, but they have gone through all the maps and, well, not all of the maps. There still are some maps without tier 2s, I believe. But the vast majority of the maps to change around the tier 1s and tier 2s, as well as on certain maps actually completely removing or moving in general chests, which I am not, again, I'm not the biggest fan of. I do like the idea well, this guy can't shoot. I do like the idea of changing around chest tiers, but I don't think that adding or removing chests was the best idea, because roots are formed around this chest, and if you want to change around the roots to make it more fair for new players, then changing chest tiers is an acceptable way. But if you change the locations, it makes it much more difficult to actually form a root, which all experienced players need to do, really. Okay, well, that's my summary of that, and now on to the new maps that were added. Two maps that were added that are slightly older are Insanity Cause and the Two-Way Run Survival Games 2, and this guy's sprint hacking. But those two maps I haven't gotten to take a look at as of yet, because just hasn't been voted in, or haven't been able to win a game on it when it's recording, or etc. I haven't been able to take a look at them as of yet, but I do plan to. And just a quick setup, well, not setup, a quick teaser, I guess, of my opinions. I really like Two-Way Run Survival Games 2. I think the building and terraforming is really great, but games on it are a bit awkward. Insanity Cause I dislike with a passion. And this guy is really sprint hacking. Like, here I am sprint jumping around, and he's... I need to take this hacker down. Yeah, look, he's just walking, and I'm sprint jumping, and he's still going as fast as I am. And this brings me to the next topic, going off of maps for a bit to talk about this as it's related. Hackers. So with MCSGV2, they haven't updated the ban files as of yet. I'm not sure why. I feel that that should have been their top priority, but the fact remains that they haven't, and as such, every hacker that was banned before the introduction of MCSGV2 is unbanned, which is very unlikable, because fighting hackers is never fun, and when there are an awful lot of them, as there are now, it's even less fun. Next major complaint, which hopefully... I was going to talk about the lagging back feature, which usually happens in water fights, but I died, sadly. But anyways, the lagging back feature is, well, not feature, it's a bug with no G+, with the people at MCSG have no control over, but it often happens in water fights where you will be glitched backwards when you're trying to run away, and thus are able to be hit over and over again, which is not good and has resulted in many, many deaths. And a lot of people just hate it. It seems to have been fixed primarily. It still does happen at times though. So yeah, not fully fixed, but hopefully it's on the mend. And now I'll try to get into another game to continue this commentary, because this video really isn't about the gameplay as much as it is about my opinions of MCSGV2. So I'll be right back. And I'm back for another attempt to give my opinions of MCSGV2. So, having talked about hackers and the lag back feature, I think it's time to go back to the topic of the new maps. So I talked about Two-Way Run Survival Games 2, which I like, but has long and sometimes annoying games, and Insanity Cause, which I really hate due to the large amount of water. And the annoying amount of jungle. Now, you may have noticed that corn at SG2 is very, very different. It only has 4 chests in the center as opposed to the normal 8 chests, including the 4 around the edge. And I think this was due to I don't find it a very large complaint or widespread among the community, but I have seen a few threads on the forum saying that cornucopia is overpowered, nerf it, and I believe this was one of the devs' responses to that complaint, to make it only 4 chests of corn. Personally, sorry for the cut. Fraps glitched out for a little bit. I managed to get it working again, but yeah, hopefully that wasn't too intrusive, or hopefully it didn't detract from your viewing experience. Now, I was talking about... what was I talking about? I was talking about something important. Oh, I was talking about nerfing corn. So, I don't feel that this was a good idea, because I feel that cornucopia is a place where people should gather, and that should be the biggest hotspot on a map, even if there are others across the map. And I really think that nerfing it detracts from that and makes it really almost unnecessary to go to corn when it refills, which, as I mentioned earlier, happens later and creates even less of a hotspot. So I don't know if making corn less of a hotspot was wholly intentional or just the byproduct of listening to complaints, but yeah, I'm not a big fan, and might as well take the stone swords. But back to what I've been trying to talk about for a while, the new maps. So, to Wayron Survival Games 2 and Insanity Cause I've given my feed input on. Then there's also Carmoon Raw, which was a map a while ago, but was eventually removed, and it's now back. I personally am not a big fan of the map. Well, not a fan at all, really. But I know there are many people who do like the map, so I'm kind of glad it's back, because then they'll be happy. But yeah, I personally am not the biggest fan, but I still respect the people who wanted to have it back. Now, next come the the really new maps. I was having trouble getting my words out because I was focusing on not dying there. But the really new maps, Asia Games and Moonlight Lake. With both of these maps, I feel that perhaps Chad was reaching a bit too much to get out new maps, because personally I really like Moonlight Lake. I think it has a pretty innovative design and gameplay is good on it, but the builds seem really random and not really all that impressive. And then Asia Games just is completely nonsensical. It's a bunch of biomes thrown together with 1 or 2 rather shoddy builds thrown on top. Like, I really dislike the map, I dislike the gameplay, I dislike the builds. Yeah, I don't think it should be added, but Chad has decided to. And now here is a sign of some of the rather undesirable changes that have come as a result of MCSGV2, namely certain places which had been nerfed in previous versions are completely overpowered. Pink House here has 3 actually tier 3 chests, because you saw there were both tier 2 items and tier 1 items in the chest. Or at least I believe those are tier 3 items. But yeah, completely overpowered. Like, look at all the gear I got from it. And that isn't even the most extreme example. On SG1, the pirate ship has 6 double tier 2 chests. You can get a full inventory of iron armor, enough diamonds to instantly make a diamond chest plate. Like, just insane amounts of incredibly good loot within the first 30 seconds or so of the game. So, I realize that these will probably be fixed, but they're currently kind of game controlling, especially when corn on some of the maps is nerfed, and then this just incredible amount of insanely overpowered chests elsewhere on the map. Like, in many cases it's less useful to go to corn than to go to those locations. Okay, now back to the maps for yet another time. So, Asia games I really dislike and don't think should be added, and I really only think it was added as a rush from Chad to get new maps out with the release of MCSGV2, but I think that we should be much more careful with accepting community maps, having a large amount of testing, community input, and otherwise actually deciding based on reasonable cues, as opposed to just randomly choosing a map. Okay, now three old maps have been removed, which I am happy about, because one of them was Skyland Survival, which I made a video on and really dislike. The other two were Hungry Hills, which is similar to Skyland Survival in that it's a massive map with next to no chests. No, it does have chests, but they're really scattered, and gameplay I rather dislike. So that was removed, and MCSG Ruins was removed, supposedly, though that also might have been removed a while ago, and same with Overgrown Arena, which was supposedly removed this time, but also supposedly removed several updates ago, so not really sure what's happening with that, but Skyland Survival and Hunger Hills were both removed, which I am happy about. Okay, now that maps are done, I'm going to go kill this guy, and then once I do that, I can continue talking. If I can find him. I saw him over here just a moment ago. Maybe he ran out of the park. But while I'm looking for this guy, I'll continue with my views on MCSGV2. So, one major addition, which is just useful at any time, not just MCSGV2, is the addition of new servers. So there are 10 new servers each for the US and EU regions, and then 3 or 4 new servers, I believe, for Canada and Australia, which I know they're probably a bit slighted by not getting as many servers as US and EU, but that's how it goes when they have a lot smaller player base. But yeah, new servers are always cool, and that's a great addition that I fully support. And notice, no stick, because there's so many tier 2s now, and not enough tier 1s. But, wait, can I actually put anything on? No. And now I've lost my train of thought. So, oh yeah, new servers, which is good. And now on to the next topic, which is the new leaderboard system, which includes stats from every region, all combined into one synchronous, if that's a word. I think it is, but I'm really not sure. Leaderboard system where all your wins... I need to be paying more attention. I'll just down a golden apple and then I can come in and deal with these two. And then I'll get back to talking after I kill them. And as you can see, there is a large amount of lag, which is most people's largest complaint with the new update, along with the lagging back rubber banding feature. Or bug, rather. Now, hopefully I don't get snuck up on while I'm talking again, but back to what I was saying. The new global synchronous... I like that word. It probably isn't a real word, but I like saying synchronous. So these new global leaderboards take your stats from every region and combine them into one global leaderboards, which you can compare your statistics to statistics of people from everywhere around the globe, which, in my opinion, is pretty awesome, as I had been doing that before this was introduced, but with not so great results because I had to do it manually. It took a while, and yeah, this is much easier and has an advanced stat tracking system, both for your total time played, which is arranged in weeks, days, hours, minutes, as opposed to just a flat hour rate, and for your games to wins played, and it keeps a track of your terrible and or amazing win-loss ratio. It doesn't actually keep your ratio, but you can see pretty much what it would be by looking at your recent games played. So overall, I'm a fan of the new leaderboard system, but I do wish that regional leaderboards would be back as well. I believe they are planning on implementing this, and they will be in soon, but I would like it to happen a bit faster. Of course, they're working as fast as they can. Now you might notice all the flint and steel in my inventory, and that brings me to my next point. Flint and steel in tier 1s. This has been possibly one of the most hated additions in MCSGV2, and I agree completely. With flint and steel found in tier 1s, there really is no strategy to when to make a flint and steel, or to use the flint for arrows or the iron for a sword. It's just, you will have at least 3 in your inventory at all times, and this turns pretty much every fight into a firefight. Like, in my past few days of playing, I have encountered maybe like a tenth of my fights have not been firefights, and so that's 90% of all of my fights being firefights, which isn't something anyone wants, sorry, because fire should be a situational weapon. It is extremely powerful and can allow someone with nothing to take out something with full iron and a diamond sword. That is difficult, but I've done it, and it is definitely possible. Now, however, it can be used at any time to take out anyone without any thought of actually conserving it for a more powerful opponent. And all these chests were taken, which leads me to believe there's someone around here. But yeah, flint and steel should not be in tier 1s. It is far too powerful for that, and yeah, it kind of messes up the flow of the game. So, flint and seals should be put back in tier 2s. Now, the next and probably most controversial topic is that of sponsoring. So I would show you this if I died, but I didn't think to the last time I had died, and now it's looking like I'm going to be winning this. But sponsoring allows you to give a player a potion in return for points after you die, and this isn't as overpowered because points had been reset to 100 at the reset. Oh, major, I apologize for that. Fraps crashed, so yeah, must have run out of memory or something along those lines, but hopefully it's going to work better now. I just deleted 50 gigs of files and didn't die while I was doing it. But back to the topic of sponsoring. So everyone's points were reset to 100, so it isn't technically that overpowered, but I think that the actual effects of sponsoring make it overpowered, even if points have been nerfed. And there's a guy with full iron armor over there. Time to go take him. I'll go back to commentary after I take this guy out because I need focus. This is possibly the be-all or end-all fight. If I can take this guy out, I will win. If I fail to do so, then I would probably lose. But I was able to take him out surprisingly easily for the level of gear he had. But, yeah. Oh, and look, there are dyes which you can now gain from flowers, bone meal, etc. and actually use. So you can have pretty armor, which everybody likes. Okay, now, back from my tangent and on to the topic that I was actually discussing, which is sponsoring. I think that sponsoring is incredibly overpowered because though the system itself may not be that incredibly overpowered, what it allows you to do is you can sponsor a strength potion which turns a wood sword into the equivalent of diamond. You can sponsor a splash potion of poison, which can debilitate people for 40 seconds. And now here there's a new addition with only 10 seconds before deathmatch, which is interesting, and I rather like. And fireworks. So I'll probably I'll continue this commentary into the next game, I believe. So, along through my server list, waiting for games to load, and no games seem to be in lobby, but there's one, and now to continue discussing. So, those are the majority of the actual changes that have been implemented thus far. But there are a few changes that are not rumored, that we have been told will be happening in the future. And those are pretty interesting. So there's the so-called MCSG Pro, which is a tournament with real prizes. We aren't quite sure what that is as of yet, but it's definitely interesting. There's also a new achievement system with 80+ achievements to give you a bit of direction while you're playing and collect trophies. And again, not a major change, but pretty fun and interesting, which could pretty much sum up the majority of the changes in this update. There's a guy with a sword there, which you never want to see in that location. So, yeah, achievements, probably going to be pretty cool. And new custom deathmatch arena. Hopefully this guy doesn't chase me, but he probably will. Yep, he's chasing me. New customized deathmatch arenas for each map. Again, I'm not sure on the specifics here, but if it turns out how I would like it to turn out, it could be very, very cool. And speaking of deathmatch, there's a new system in deathmatch that we didn't really get to take a look at last game because people didn't run. But every minute that deathmatch goes on, the ring of lightning that surrounds deathmatch will get further and further in until at the end it will be shocking you constantly. This means that people can no longer run for all of deathmatch because they will be killed by lightning, which is a good change because that was incredibly annoying on maps such as SG4 where people would just run around and around until nobody could actually get a win there. And I'm going to be followed, even though, oh no, they aren't following me. That's a surprise. But yeah, it's a good change to deathmatch, though it can be very annoying when you're trying to fight somebody and you get hit back by lightning and possibly killed. So I think it wouldn't be that much of a problem though if deathmatch was still the same amount of time. However, it has been reduced from 5 minutes to 3 minutes, which I do not think is a good choice, especially when the addition of the deathmatch lightning has been implemented. So this looks like an interesting room. Oh, I see what it is. The dispensers are a lie. I guess you're just going to take damage here, but I'm fine with that. And you would think that would be a tier 2, but no, it isn't. Well, back through the room of crushing death, and back to what I was talking about, the deathmatch. It should be back to 5 minutes, just there shouldn't be a discussion. It should just be back to 5 minutes. It's kind of necessary. So, there's also 1 or 2 other changes, but they aren't that big of a deal. Like, Game Master allows moderators to enter a game in game mode so they can fly around, doesn't count towards their total games played, and yeah, it's kind of nice, but not really a huge change. And I don't want to fight this guy, but I'll be glad to see him drop down a hole. He's probably getting great chests now, but yeah, Game Master, little bit of help for the staff. They get some bonuses to their powers in game, like they can just speak and everyone can hear it, etc. And also they get a pretty blue color for their text when they speak in game. So yeah, not a really big change, but kind of interesting. And I think that's actually a good way to launch into a summary of the entire update. There haven't really been all that many big changes. Like, they've moved around the tier 2s, they have a few new maps, they've set up some new leaderboards, and they have a few interesting things. But, oh, this guy's giving me a weapon. Yay! Really? If he insists. Aw, Match Happy's cool. I feel sad for killing him. But that does set me up pretty well for the game. I feel really bad now. But yeah, back to MCSGV2 because that's the point of this video. And hopefully not dying. Though if I died, I could show you the sponsor system. And I'm failing with my arrows. Like, lot. But anyways, back to MCSGV2. So, overall, the changes made don't really seem to be all that large or game-changing. It seems like it isn't really a full update, but rather just like tweaking a few systems, besides the addition of sponsoring, which is a very major change, and one I don't fully agree with. But, yeah, hopefully... Okay, summary time. So, the major complaints with the system were the bugs, the lag, and the rubber banding glitch, which both have been primarily fixed. They do occur a bit, but yeah, they're pretty much fixed, and hopefully will get even better as time goes on. And sponsoring is a bit overpowered, and I'm not a big fan of it. Hackers are back, but will be gone soon, just hopefully sooner rather than later. There still is lag, as you can see. There are new maps, but they seem to have been chosen semi-randomly. And I'm dead. But here I can actually show you what sponsoring is like. So I can do /sponsor. Oh wait, he's sprint hacking. Oh! So that's how I died so easily. Well, let's show sponsoring. Because it doesn't look like this guy has a weapon, but I'm going to give young one. No, he has a full inventory, so that wouldn't actually help because sponsoring doesn't work with a full inventory. But I'm going to give Pally1999 a strength potion. Oh, apparently I did it wrong. And here I can just give him a strength potion, which hopefully he'll be able to turn into something. And sadly I can't see any sprint particles there to get this guy banned, but he is a pretty obvious hacker. Let's see if I can get any more recording of it. So yeah, overall, MCSGV2, I am pretty happy with the changes, but they aren't that major, and there are a few controversial decisions such as sponsoring that I don't fully agree with. For example, this guy's wood axe is the equivalent of an iron sword, and if he could actually fight, he could have won this game with a wood axe. So, it can be used to make some pretty ridiculous comebacks, and just make someone ridiculously overpowered. Especially if they're clans, teammates, etc. It just makes it really unfair. Oh, and Young One actually managed to kill the hacker, which I'm proud of. I'll review the footage and make sure I did get him hacking on camera. Now, final summary. MCSGV2, I like, but doesn't seem to have changed that majorly, and hopefully it will be better with the new things that they have been talking about adding, such as the new Deathmatch Arena and the MCSG Pro tournament. So that's been my views on MCSGV2, and I'll see you next time.